Hey everyone, welcome to the best US men news channel on YouTube. I'm Son of a Silver Stacker. Today's date is the 14th of October, 2025, and in this video, we're going to be talking about silver, but we're also going to be talking about the lowly Lincoln cent. Now, before any of that though, if you're new here, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to a bazillion subs. It's actually a really big number. In fact, it's ginormous. You can look it up on the Google machine for confirmation. Now, we're always live, never edited, and always unscripted. I never know what I'm not going to say. Now let's bounce over to moneymetals.com so we can check out those live spot prices. And also don't forget, tomorrow, I think we're going to have the winners announced for the $3 Son of a Silver Stacker giveaway. That's right. That's 10 winners are going to win an American Silver Eagle, a $3 scale, and loop. Now over here to moneymetals.com. So gold is up 20.55 to 41.46.15. Oh, there's still time to get in, right? Silver down 95 cents to 51.67. Platinum up 15.35 to 16.55.25. Palladium up $8 to 15.14.25. And Dr. Copper down 14 cents to 4.99 per pound. Down here, you're looking at an in-stock American Silver Eagle, whose premium is $9.89 for a quantity of 1 through 39. They ask that you pay $61.56. Now, what's the buyback? So silver spot is 51.67, and look at that. It is definitely above, but not by a whole lot of 51.91 to 51.67. Now over here to the Jerusalem Post, there's a great article written, I think it was on the 11th, and it was updated on the 12th. But it talks about some very good points here. Title of this article is Silver Supply Crisis Deepens as London Inventories Plunge 33%. A global silver squeeze is reaching crisis levels as supply shortages, collapsing London inventories, and soaring demand push prices above $50 per ounce. And that's where we're at today, right? We're at 51.67. That's a good bit of money. And look at all that silver. That's 3 nines fine right there. And those are 1 kilo bars. Yowza. All right, like I said, this is from October 11, 2025, updated October 12, 2025. It could be an historic a historic silver squeeze is unfolding across global markets, one that analysts say could reshape the precious metals landscape for years to come. And that's no joke, folks. That's not hyperbole, right? All right, it says prices have surged past $50 per ounce, vaulting silver into territory reached only once before in history, and that was the Hunt brothers, right? And that was manipulated, right? That wasn't really organic, right? That is not a speculative anomaly, but a convergence of structural factors that together point to a profound global shortage. Here we go. Look at this. A perfect storm of supply and demand pressures. Multiple converging trends are tightening the silver market simultaneously. Here we go with persistent supply deficits. For several consecutive years, right, since the pandemic, global silver demand exceeding 1.16 billion ounces annually has outstripped mine production and recycling, leaving a cumulative deficit nearing 800 million ounces since 2020. And what's interesting about that is that, well, there's something else going on, because silver isn't just mined typically individually. It's mined with some other minerals, right? I'll show you that here in a second. It says reduced mine output. Around 70% of silver is mined as a byproduct of base metals like copper and zinc, limiting production flexibility. Oh boy. So let's go to the Google machine, and remember, there's 3 copper mines down, one in Africa, one in South America, and one in Indonesia. That's correct. So the shutdown, and I put here 3 copper mines down. What are the implications for silver? And it says here in the AI overview, the shutdown of copper mine creates a significant supply shock for silver, because they don't talk about it in the articles, any of these articles about the shutdown in the copper mine. So this is like a bonus. All right, so supply shock for silver because silver is primarily extracted as a byproduct of copper mining. The closure of 3 copper mines would dramatically tighten the silver market, leading to higher silver prices and increased market volatility. And we know for a fact that there are 3 major copper mines that are down because of accidents mid-2025. That is affecting the world's copper supply, and that's why we see copper so expensive right now. And the issue is reduced silver supply, higher prices, increased volatility, aggravated shortage conditions. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Demand, competition, industrial use, investment, recent real world context. Here we go. It says here, actual recent events support this dynamic as highlighted in market analysis. 2025 mine disruptions at key copper mines, including a significant closure at the Grasberg mine in Indonesia, tightened the market and contributed to a price rally. That's what's going down, folks. That's super important to remember because they don't really talk about it in any of these silver squeeze stories on the interwebs. Now it says here, investment demand. Investors worldwide are turning to silver as confidence in fiat currency wanes and inflation expectations rise. Indian buying surge. So typically every year there's a festival of lights in India, and silver is a big part of that celebration. And guess what? Yeah, I heard that Amazon in India was actually defaulting on their silver deliveries. They weren't making them. They're like, yeah, we returned your money and we're not going to send you the silver you thought you bought. India's silver imports have spiked dramatically as buyers shift away from Hong Kong suppliers, further tightening global availability. Now, here's what's what. Geopolitical fears, uncertainty surrounding potential U.S. tariffs on silver imports following a Section of 232 investigation is adding volatility to an already strained market. And here we go with unprecedented market disruptions in London. And this is probably where it all stems from. There's paper silver and then there's physical silver. And I've always thought and I've always said, if you don't hold it in your hand, you don't really own it. And I think there's a guy named Maneko64 who has always said that. And he was a bond trader before he started buying gold in the early 2000s. And he had a meeting, I believe, with some of the bankers. And he's like, well, he had, I think, paper gold or paper silver that his mom had invested in. And he's like, well, I want my physical metal. And they're like, well, why do you want it? Because it's mine, he said, and they didn't give it to him. So yeah, check that out. That's kind of wild. Now it says here, unprecedented market disruptions in London. The crisis is most visible in London, LBMA or LMBA, the historic center of global precious metals trade. Traders are now air freighting silver bars across the Atlantic to exploit massive premiums, an extraordinary step typically reserved for gold. Yowza. That is what's going down there. Now, check this out. This is the market indicator, normal conditions, and the current squeeze. So London, New York, price spread is typically one dime, 0 cents to 1 dime. Now it's up to $3 per ounce. And that adds up when you're dealing with 1,000-ounce bars, doesn't it? Now, the bid-ask spread, there you go, was 3 cents, normal conditions. And now we're over 20 cents per ounce. And like I said, that adds up when you're doing business in 1,000-ounce bars. Now, the overnight borrowing cost was 1%, 1 to 2% annualized. But now, yeah, look at that. It's over 100% annualized. That is what's going down over there. That's incredible. And then there's the available free float silver, 850 million ounces in 2019. Yeah, look at this though. Whoops, it's down 75% to 200 million ounces. Yowza, that's not good at all. That means there's none left hardly at all. According to the London Bullion Market Association, the LBMA member banks and refiners are actively monitoring tightness, yeah, that's supply shortages, in the silver market. Liquidity has all but evaporated. There's no silver left, liquidity. Banks hesitate to quote prices, and traders short on silver are struggling to source physical metal to meet contractual delivery. And that's why the refiners don't want your anything but 3 nines fine, so they can melt it and pour it and send it out immediately. Because if they have to take the 90% or the sterling, which is 925, it takes more energy, it takes more time, and they don't have that kind of time because it's an emergency. Yeah, they need it now. They need it yesterday is what they needed because they got to cover up these positions. One logistics executive confirmed traders are attempting to relocate between 15 to 30 million ounces of silver from New York's COMEX vaults to London to satisfy demand and arbitrage opportunities. Price surge and structural shortage. The London Silver Auction, established in 1897, recently recorded trades above $50 for the first time ever, approaching the all-time high of $52.50 set during the 1980 Hunt Brothers episode. But unlike the 1980 short squeeze, which stemmed from a speculative corner, today's rally is rooted in genuine structural imbalances. Absolutely. Market veterans call this a perfect storm of undersupply, industrial expansion, and monetary flight. They don't want fiat currency anymore because they think it's a gonzo. The dollar is done, right? That's what they're saying. And then industrial demand from solar panels, electric vehicles, and advanced electronics continued to rise sharply. And don't forget, it isn't just electric vehicles, solar panels. And now, maybe it falls under this category here, advanced electronics, but the military uses a good bit of silver. So could militaries be buying loads of silver right now? Absolutely. Silver's use in photovoltaic Technology essential to the green energy transition now represent 25% of total demand. Yeah, gone. Yeah, they're gobbling it up. 25%. COMEX inventories in the United States are thinning as well, with dealers reporting months-long delivery delays and widening premiums for physical metal. In fact, we had one of our listeners yesterday report that he went to his local coin shop, and they said they will not be buying any silver until January of 2026. That is wild, folks. And there are some people that are saying, yeah, I still can get some sales off to my coin dealer, no problem. But they're buying under spot. Okay. They're not offering full spot price. Global context, a squeeze without precedent. Never happened before. Nothing like this in the history of ever. All right. It says here aspect, and it's got Hunt Brothers squeeze, and then the 2025 silver squeeze. Cause, market manipulation, structural deficit, investor flight, resolution, exchange intervention, physical metal shortage, price peak 52.50 right there an ounce, and that's greater than $50 an ounce in London. Borrowing costs high but limited. Now, in this time, it's 100% annualized. Impact scope, it was the United States back in 1980. Now it's a global supply chain as we are interconnected with the rest of the world. Unlike 1980, no regulatory fix can resolve this crisis. Today's squeeze stems from real scarcity, not excessive speculation. The imbalance can only be corrected through increased mine output, and that's not happening anytime soon, folks. Those copper mines, they say, might get back in full production in 2027. Yeah, so all of 2026 looks very promising for the shiny silver metal. Something analysts warn may take years to rebalance given the metal's dependence on base metal mining. There you go. That's what's what. Implications. Industrial impact. Manufacturers may face rising costs and potential production delays for solar, electronics, and medical applications. Investor impact. Hi, how you doing? Where'd it go? Wow. Did you, I didn't even do that. That is, let me, whoa. All right. I think I'm in the spot right here. All right. To resolve this crisis, no, I was here. Investor, boy, that was wild. Investor impact, physical silver premiums are widening while ETFs, exchange traded funds, and futures markets face delivery pressure. Monetary impact, here we go. As gold prices soar and fiat confidence erodes, silver's traditional monetary role is reemerging, echoing dynamics not seen since the 1970s. And what they don't put on here, and what's interesting and we should know about, is that central banks have been buying gold. We know that, okay? But also central banks, they have shifted over to buying silver as well. So they're filling their coffers with silver and on top of gold. The silver squeeze, this is the conclusion, unfolding in 2025 is not a replay of history. It's a global repricing of a critical industrial and monetary metal with inventories collapsing, borrowing rates soaring, and demand accelerating. The world is witnessing what could become the most significant silver supply crisis in modern times. There it is. Now let's bounce over to the United States Mint. So pretty soon, the United States Mint's going to ship these American Women quarters a week from today. And then after that, the next product is going to be the November 6th drop, the limited edition silver-proof set. And I got to say, folks, I think the United States Mint is going to be making an announcement fairly soon here in a press release. Not sure when, but I think fairly soon they're going to be talking about the recent price increase of silver and how it affects their products and how we're going to see on our end, right, the end user, an increase in silver products price at the United States Mint. I think we're going to see a press release relatively soon. Now, let's talk about something kind of exciting. You saw it there for a second, the comic art 24 karat gold proof Superman coin. It is a half ounce, right? Let's see the specs right there. You got a half ounce of 4/9 fine gold. It was originally priced, okay, at $2,710. Now it's $3,150 for a difference of $440. My, how times changed so quickly. That is remarkable. Now let's talk about that penny. This here is from Action News out of, I think, Toledo, Ohio here. And it talks about the Sheetz gas station, which I've been to, I think, in Virginia and North Carolina. They also have, I think, some other ones in West Virginia, Michigan, and some other locations in the East. Now it says, title here is Penny Production Leaving Businesses Short-Changed. And this is by the WTVG staff, published October 13th, which was yesterday at 6:21 p.m. Eastern Time, updated 13 hours ago. Out of Toledo, Ohio, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? Well, since the U.S. Treasury is winding down penny production, some major businesses are feeling the pinch. In May, the Trump administration decided to phase out the new penny production. The U.S. Mint reported that it cost 3.9 cents to make the penny in 2024, and we're still waiting actually for the 2025 annual report from the United States Mint, because we could see more than 3.9 cents for the penny and more than 14 or 15 cents for the Jefferson nickel. And I tell you, the more they yank this coin out of circulation, the more it's going to put pressure on the nickel. And I think that the nickel may stay, but they're definitely going to make a metal content change, just like they did for the penny in 1982. And wouldn't it be cool to pick up some of the actual nickel pennies, or no, nickel nickels from, let's say they change it next year, maybe 2027, and then maybe a few planchets of nickel and copper still got through like the nickel is today. And then the new alloy is going to be, taking over, but maybe some of them, like the penny in 1982, right, are going to make it through. Wouldn't that be exciting? That'll be something to look forward to. And everybody will probably be weighing their nickels instead of weighing their pennies anymore. It says here it marked the 19th consecutive year that the penny costs more to make than its face value. Makes sense, right? See what they're doing? They're punishing us with their. All right. Well, a letter from the National Association of Convenience Stores to the Senate Banking and Housing Financial Services Committees stated in part, as you are aware, the U.S. Mint produced its last pennies in June of 2025. The Federal Reserve distributes these coins throughout the nation and is reporting that dozens of coin distribution locations have already run out of pennies to distribute to facilitate commerce. Many more will soon run out in the coming days that will impact every congressional district. Now, what is it like by you? Are you still seeing pennies, or are they rounding? In some parts here in Florida, they're actually starting to round to the nearest nickel, whether it's 0 or 5 cents. Shortages were not expected to start showing up until mid to late 2026, but for some chains across our area and the nation, they are feeling shortchanged already. All are dealing with said shortage in their own way. At Sheetz, signs are up saying the U.S. Mint will no longer produce pennies, so we are short on change. Remember that during the pandemic? And I remember if you had a roll of quarters, they would pay you $20 for a roll of quarters just to get change in some places. They would pay extra just to get the cash so they could do their deals. It was quite incredible. At Home Depot, you will see signs saying penny shortage. If possible, please use exact change for cash transactions. And a press release from Quick Trip says, since the government has not provided guidance on how to proceed, all cash purchases at Quick Trip and Quick Star locations will be rounded down to the nearest 5 cents, ensuring a guest-friendly approach. Quick Trip will continue this approach until a permanent legislative solution has been enacted. Wow, we're in new times, folks, no doubt about it. This could be a model for other businesses, but there are some states and municipalities with cash laws that would actually prohibit this kind of rounding. Oh boy, that would be wild if that actually happened. These may be temporary fixes for now, but stores and NAC are asking Congress to pass a law that would allow this type of rounding nationwide. We are in new times, folks. We really are. And you know what I got a hold of? I got to show you this. This is from Batatat, Bank of Batatat. I think that's how you say it. They are in the Shenandoah Valley, I believe, and it says here, important national change affecting pennies, and this came out of October 2025, just this month. It says, dear valued customer, nationwide change outside a Bank of Batatat, I think that's how you say it, control is affecting pennies. The U.S. Treasury Department has announced it will stop putting new pennies into circulation, and in our Federal Reserve District, Richmond, pennies are no longer being distributed to cash service providers. Wow. According to the Federal Reserve September 2025 FAQ, frequently asked questions, distribution locations are accepting penny deposits and fulfilling orders will vary over time as localized inventory is depleted. Bank of Batatat can no longer order new pennies because customers continue to deposit and exchange pennies. Our supply will fluctuate. Some institutions in other districts may still have temporary access. However, national production has been halted and pennies already in circulation remain valid currency. I hope so. Here's what you can expect. Now, deposits and exchanges. You may continue to deposit or exchange pennies you already have. The Federal Reserve has confirmed it will continue to accept penny deposits from banks and credit unions, although deposit locations may shift as inventories are depleted. Isn't that interesting? They're going to put them where they need them to be. And it's kind of like what's have you ever noticed if you've ever been across the country, like the Volkswagen Bugs end up in California, and then like the Subarus end up in Colorado in those mountainous states with the snow. It's just they go where they're needed. Okay. Customer cash transactions. Did I say crash? No, cash transactions. When pennies are unavailable, payouts will be rounded to the nearest 5 cents following Federal Reserve guidance. 1 and 2 cents round down, 3 and 4 cents round up, 0 and 5 cents not rounded, no change. Now here's where it gets interesting. If the rounded cash payout is less than the amount owed, the difference will be credited to your bank, a Batancourt, Batatat, I almost said it again, account automatically. Did they say debited or credited? Yeah, that's the crucial terminology. Non-customer cash transactions, rounding would also be applied, and any small difference will be handled internally by the bank. We understand this is a change for everyone, and we're committed to making the transition as smooth as possible. If you have questions, please contact your local branch or call our customer service. Yada yada. Thank you, Bank of Batatat. That is incredible, folks. We are in new waters, new everything here in this world we live in. And how are you going to make an adjustment? Are you going to start stacking constitutional nickels? Because you probably won't find any constitutional copper out anymore. That's it. That's all you get. And one thing I got to ask, when the banks get these pennies, are they going to just say, okay, we're going to take them out of circulation ourselves? When we get them, they're going to be boxed up and sent out, right? Who's going to get those box of pennies? Is it going to be the United States Mint? Are they going to melt those down? What are they going to do with all those pennies? Now let's go to the plus ones. I've yammered for pretty long here. This is Isaiah 2, number 22. It says here, withdraw from man who has breath in his nostrils. For with what is he deemed worthy? Oh boy, that's a gut punch, right? Yeah, we are not worthy. And I think what that means here is this verse serves as a warning to place trust and reliance in the Lord, not in people, nations, or their power. It highlights human frailty, contrasting our transient existence, right? We're only here for a short period of time, and then we're gonzo. Our transient existence with the eternal nature of the Lord. Yowza. Yeah. What's more permanent? Now we're here, 3 nines fine, 99.9. 99.9. This is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. And remember, I think this is from a novel, and it really means, the bell tolls for thee. And usually, bell tolls, when somebody perishes, and then the church rings the bells and all that stuff. But really, that's a heads up to us. For whom the bell tolls is for thee, because it is a reminder that our community, we lost a member of our community, but nobody is an island. And when we lose somebody, the humanity gets, all of us get affected by that. So there it is. Now, with that said, I want to thank you all for coming. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you do like what you hear and see, please sub the channel. It's absolutely free. What's not free is membership. It's a mere $1.99 per month. It's the price of a cheap cup of coffee or inexpensive coffee one day a month for me. In my name, son of a silver stacker. It's like 6.6 cents per video. It's not a whole lot and if it is for you, I apologize, and I hope your situation gets better quicker than later. Y'all have a great, what is it, Taco Tuesday? Yeah, that's amazing. Have a good day, everyone. Stacker out.